Emma and Ryan were high school sweethearts who eloped young, defying their families. Their love was passionate but turbulent, and when Emma discovered Ryan's alleged infidelity, she walked away, filing for divorce. 5 years later, they meet again at a mutual friend's wedding. But as secrets unravel, Emma learns the betrayal wasn't what she thought and that Ryan never signed the divorce papers. With old emotions rekindling and painful truths coming to light, Emma must decide whether to give Ryan and their marriage a second chance. Chapter 1: Unfinished Business. Emma Carter had spent years convincing herself that she was over Ryan Callahan. 5 years. 60 months. Countless days spent moving forward, pushing the past into a locked box in the back of her mind. She had told herself she didn't miss him, didn't miss the way his voice wrapped around her name like a whispered promise, didn't miss the way he used to kiss her like she was the only thing keeping him breathing. She had almost believed it. Until now. Because there he was, her ex-husband, walking into the grand ballroom of the Halstead estate as if he hadn't shattered her world years ago. Emma gripped the stem of her champagne flute, her nails digging into the glass. This can't be happening. Ryan looked good. Unfairly good. His dark hair was a little longer, tousled in a way that made her fingers twitch with muscle memory. His jawline was sharper, a hint of stubble making him look even more rugged than she remembered. And then there were his eyes, piercing green, still carrying the weight of something unspoken. As if he could feel her gaze, his head turned. And just like that, their eyes met. Emma sucked in a sharp breath. 1,000 emotions rushed through her: anger, regret, longing, pain. Her heart slammed against her ribs, betraying her. Ryan's lips parted slightly, his expression shifting from surprise to something deeper, something unreadable. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then Emma turned sharply, forcing herself to breathe. She needed air. She barely made it to the bar when a familiar voice stopped her in her tracks. Emma. Her heart clenched. Slowly, she turned around. Ryan stood just a few feet away, his gaze locked onto hers like she was the only person in the room. God, why does he still look at me like that? Emma lifted her chin, schooling her expression into indifference. Ryan. His lips pressed into a thin line. I didn't know you'd be here. She let out a short, humorless laugh. Funny. I was about to say the same thing. His eyes flickered with something she couldn't name. You look, he hesitated, then shook his head slightly. You look beautiful. Emma's throat tightened, but she refused to let the compliment affect her. And you look exactly the same. A ghost of a smile tugged at the corner of his lips. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I haven't decided yet, she muttered. Ryan exhaled, his gaze still locked onto her like he was memorizing every detail. And that's when she saw it. The ring. Still on his finger. Her breath hitched. You're still wearing it, she whispered. Ryan glanced down at his left hand. For a second, something flashed in his expression: guilt, hesitation, something else. Then he met her gaze again. Yeah. Emma's pulse roared in her ears. Why? Ryan's jaw tightened. For a moment, he didn't answer. Then, finally, he spoke. Because I never signed the divorce papers. Chapter 2: The Truth He Kept. Emma felt like the ground had just been ripped from beneath her feet. What? She choked out. Ryan swallowed hard, his green eyes searching hers. I never signed them, Emma. Her stomach twisted violently. That's impossible. She stopped, her mind racing. I signed them. I ended this, Ryan. His expression darkened. You ended it. I didn't. Anger flared in her chest. You don't get to say that. You destroyed us. His lips parted slightly, but he didn't look angry, he looked tired. And that made something twist inside her even harder. I didn't cheat on you, he said quietly. Emma let out a hollow laugh. Are you seriously standing here trying to rewrite history? Ryan's eyes flashed. It's not rewriting history if you never knew the truth. Emma's breath caught. Her fingers clenched around the stem of her glass, memories crashing into her. That night, walking into their bedroom, seeing another woman and Melanie half-dressed in their bed. The smug look on her face. She had run. Run before Ryan could even get a word out. "Stop," she whispered, forcing herself back to the present. "Just stop. I saw you, Ryan. I saw you with her." Ryan took a step closer. "You saw what you were meant to see." The words sent an eerie chill down her spine. "What are you saying?" Ryan exhaled, his voice quieter now. "It was a setup, Emma." Her heart thudded painfully. "A setup?" Ryan's jaw clenched. "Melanie orchestrated it. She wanted you to think I was unfaithful." Emma felt like the air had been sucked from her lungs. "No," she whispered. "That doesn't make sense." "Why would she?" "Because she wanted to ruin us," Ryan interrupted, his voice thick with regret. "And it worked." Emma's pulse pounded. If this was true, if everything she had believed for 5 years was a lie. Her hands started shaking. She swallowed hard. "Then why didn't you fight for me?" Ryan's expression twisted with something raw. Pain. "I did," he said, his voice hoarse. "I tried. I called. I wrote letters. I waited for you, Emma." She shook her head. "No. That's not." And then he said the one thing that shattered everything. "Your sister made sure you never got them." Chapter 3, The Ultimate Betrayal. Emma stared at him, unblinking. For a moment, all she could hear was the blood rushing in her ears. "What?" she whispered. Ryan's jaw was tight. "Olivia. She intercepted everything. She kept us apart." Emma felt like she might be sick. She thought back to those weeks after she left, when Olivia had been so adamant that she move on. "You deserve better, Em. He was never going to change." Oh, God. Olivia had never believed in Ryan. She had never believed in them. And she had made sure Emma wouldn't either. Emma's knees felt weak. Ryan watched her carefully. "Now you know." Emma swallowed the lump in her throat. But it wasn't just heartbreak she felt. It was regret. 5 years. She had spent 5 years believing the worst of him. And now, she wasn't sure how to breathe. Ryan hesitated, then took a slow step forward. "Emma." His voice was low, aching. "Do you still love me?" Her chest tightened painfully. She had spent 5 years trying to forget him. And she had failed. A single tear slipped down her cheek. "Yes," she whispered. Ryan exhaled sharply, like he had been holding his breath for years. And then, finally, after 5 long years of silence and heartbreak, she fell into his arms. Chapter 4, A Love That Never Left. For the longest time, neither of them spoke. Emma stood frozen in Ryan's arms, her heartbeat slamming against her ribcage. It had been years since she'd been this close to him, but somehow, the feeling was the same, familiar, intoxicating, and terrifying. His arms wrapped around her, firm and steady, as if he was afraid she would vanish if he let go. "I tried so hard to stop loving you," she murmured against his chest. Ryan's grip tightened. "And did you?" She swallowed hard. "No." Ryan exhaled, his breath warm against her hair. "Me neither." For a moment, she allowed herself to exist in this space, where regrets and heartbreak hadn't torn them apart, where betrayal hadn't poisoned their love. But reality came crashing back, hitting her like a freight train. Emma pulled away. Ryan's arms dropped to his sides, his gaze searching hers. "Emma." She shook her head, stepping back. "I don't know what to do with this, Ryan. I don't know how to move past 5 years of believing a lie." He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling sharply. "I don't expect you to forgive me overnight." Emma laughed bitterly. You weren't the one who needed forgiveness. I was the one who left. Ryan's eyes darkened. I don't blame you for that. Emma, I would have done the same if I thought you betrayed me. Emma's throat tightened. But I didn't give you a chance to explain. She bit her lip, pain flashing through her. I walked away, Ryan. I didn't fight for us. Ryan stepped closer, his voice softer now. Neither did I. She looked up at him, tears burning in her eyes. What happens now? Ryan hesitated for a long moment. Then, carefully, he reached for her hand, his fingers brushing against hers. We figure it out, he said. Together. Emma sucked in a breath. The word together felt foreign, dangerous. But for the first time in 5 years, it also felt right. Chapter 5, The Storm Before the Calm. Emma didn't sleep that night. She lay awake in her hotel room, staring at the ceiling, Ryan's words playing on repeat in her mind. We figure it out. Together. Could she really do this? Could she open herself up to Ryan again, to the love, the vulnerability, the possibility of more heartbreak? Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Olivia. Emma's chest tightened. She hesitated for a long moment before finally answering. Hey, she said, voice tight. Emma, Olivia breathed. I was hoping to catch you before you left the wedding. Are you okay? Emma's fingers clenched around the sheets. You tell me. Silence. Then, Olivia sighed. You talked to Ryan. Emma closed her eyes. You lied to me. Another pause. Then, a quiet, almost resigned, yes. Emma's stomach churned. Why, Olivia? Why would you do that? Olivia let out a bitter laugh. Because I knew if you gave him a chance to explain, you'd forgive him. Emma's grip on the phone tightened. And that was such a terrible thing? I was trying to protect you, Emma. Olivia snapped. You were devastated. You barely ate, barely slept. You were drowning, and I did what I thought was best. Emma's jaw clenched. You took my choice away. Olivia's voice softened. I was scared you'd go back to him and get hurt all over again. Emma inhaled shakily. But that wasn't your decision to make. A long silence stretched between them. When Olivia finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. Do you still love him? Emma's throat tightened. She thought about Ryan's touch, his voice, the way his presence still had the power to unravel her. Yes, she whispered. Olivia let out a slow breath. Then don't waste any more time, Em. Emma wiped at her damp cheeks. For the first time, her sister wasn't standing between her and Ryan. This time, the choice was hers. Chapter 6, The Vows We Break, The Vows We Mend. The morning sun cast a golden glow over the estate gardens. Emma stood at the edge of the balcony, the cool breeze ruffling her hair. She heard footsteps behind her. She didn't turn. I thought you'd be gone by now. Ryan stepped beside her, his presence warm and solid. I couldn't leave. Not without knowing where we stand. Emma exhaled. I don't know, Ryan. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, carefully, he pulled something from his pocket. A small, folded piece of paper. Emma frowned. What's that? Ryan hesitated, then handed it to her. It's the letter I wrote you. 5 years ago. The one Olivia never let you see. Emma's fingers trembled as she unfolded it. She took a deep breath and read. Emma, if you're reading this, it means you haven't given up on us completely. I don't know if you'll ever forgive me for what you think I did, but if you ever loved me, even for a second, I need you to know the truth that I never betrayed you. I never touched her. I never wanted anyone but you, and I never will. I love you, Emma. I always will. Ryan. A tear slipped down her cheek. She looked up at him, her vision blurred. Ryan, her voice broke. I wasted so much time. Ryan reached out, brushing a tear from her cheek. Then let's stop wasting it. Emma inhaled shakily. I don't know how to fix this. Ryan's lips curved into a small, hopeful smile. Marry me again. Her breath caught. What? His hands found hers, his voice steady. Not now. Not next month. But one day. When you're ready. Emma searched his face, her heart pounding. The past was messy, broken. But here, in this moment, there was hope. She exhaled softly, squeezing his hands. Okay. Ryan's lips parted in surprise. Okay? Emma let out a watery laugh. Yes. One day. And when Ryan leaned in, capturing her lips in a deep, soul-stealing kiss. She knew this time, forever meant forever. Epilogue, the vows we renew. A year later, Emma stood before Ryan again, dressed in white, standing under the same oak tree where they once exchanged vows. This time, there were no doubts. No secrets. No regrets. Only love. Ryan held her hands, his voice steady as he whispered, I, Ryan, take you, Emma, to be my wife, again. Emma smiled through her tears. And this time, she knew this was the forever they had always been meant for.